Okay, so thank you for joining the Writer's Playground. I'm sorry it has been a while since I've done this, especially when I used to do this every day. I've got several, at least two authors I've never done a live read from before, so I'm looking forward to that, as long as some returning favorites like Jay Batista and Maggie Lynn Heron-Heidel, who I've read from several times before. But as always, being the selfish guy that I am, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, I am going to start off with my, don't know what that was. I'm going to start off first with my book, The Hitmom. Let me just pull up the cover so you guys can see it. Bear with me. I had it here a moment ago. Sometimes I'm not there we go. So I'm just going to show it to you on my phone really quickly. That's not The Hitmom, wrong book. There we go. So this book, I released it in October. Come on, open up. I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, hold on. There you go. Released this book in October, and I had a lot of fun writing this. So it took about 5 years and countless drafts. Without doing spoiler alerts, it is the story of a domestic housewife who works full-time and has the seemingly perfect life, handsome husband, good money, good jobs, good cars, 2 wonderful kids, nice house in San Diego, etc., and so on. But in one day, she loses almost everything. And due to some rather odd circumstances that are not beyond the stretch of possibility, of course, she ends up killing someone and deciding to use her newfound equipment she finds to become a hit person, an assassin, contract hitter, whatever, and thus the hit mom, because she's a mom and she's a hitter. It's what I would call crime fiction with a healthy dollop of dark comedy. And it's gotten, the people that have read it have said it's great. It's right now, it's at 6 reviews on Amazon only. It came out in October. I was going to be at 20 or 30 by now, but oh well. Thank you, Reagan. Reagan gave it a good review. Anyways, I'm working on the sequel, but it's gotten off to a slow start because of some personal stuff that made it kind of hard for me to articulate the story, because I wasn't sure of certain scenarios with some of the characters that are actual friends of mine, that they still want to be in it. So moving forward with that soon. Anyways, the link, I will try to share it before the end of it so you guys can check it out and buy it if you want to. It's available on Kindle and paperback, maybe eventually Audible. But it's been probably my favorite book to write. I had a lot of fun writing it. And the fun thing is that almost everybody in it is either someone who I've crossed paths with and did not like, and therefore I killed them in the book, or friends of mine that I killed in the book because it was fun and they asked me to. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start with that. So I'm just going to use my phone to read from it. Just give me a second here. Okay. And then I'm a big fan of chapter art. When other people share it, I share it with the thing, but here's some internal art. I hand painted that with use Microsoft Paint. It took me about 2 hours. I've gotten better at drawing. So I'm just going to spread this, go like this. This is the PDF version. And, I went too far. Okay, and start chapter 32. No idea where this is in the story. If I can get it to open. Okay, I'm not wearing my glasses, so please bear with me. Paralyzing anxiety gripped Chelsea, who is the main character, and she felt like the air in her lungs had become a viscous liquid. Perhaps all the adrenaline she had been surviving on, like some junkie, had caught up with her, subjecting Chelsea to some form of dope sickness. What should I do? Call the police? No, I am hardly an innocent bystander. Even Dan probably, who's her new boyfriend, probably suspects my involvement, even if he is unaware of it. No, I just need to calmly walk out the front door and then drive home. This was easier said than done, as each step echoed like the lurking approach of a predatory animal. However, Chelsea plodded onwards, frayed nerves and all. She reached the front door, opened it without hesitation, and then took notice of another problem she had not considered. Shit, I forgot, no car. Her legs wanted to give out on her, but Chelsea leaned against the doorway, refusing to give in. I just need to flag down a taxi or something and get home. That's all. I will get home, scrounge up the energy to keep my tete-a-tete with Dan, and then sleep. If I can just get through the remainder of this day, everything will be perfect. Chelsea stepped onto La Mesa Boulevard and then stopped, blocked by the last person she wanted to see, Nayeli, who's actually one of my best friends and is an assassin in this book too. Going somewhere, Chelsea? Yes, home. Really? I'm just supposed to step aside and let you bang your cop boyfriend after all the trouble you stirred up? Unless you want to be added to the notches on my gun, yes, you should. Pretty bold talk, bitch, especially when considering the results of our last 2 encounters. You mean those 2 times when you hit me with a cheap shot like a cowardly little bitch? Chelsea took a step back into a defensive pose. Try that shit again and I will bury you where I find you. Nellie did not rise to the bait but smiled. I'll give you this much. You have guts and my respect. She backed away another step but kept Chelsea within a kick's distance. I'll tell you what, Chelsea. Give me the money you took from Milo and we'll call it squares. No one has to have their face turned into hamburger meat. Believe me, that would not be pleasant. I get you. I've eaten at Red Lobster before. Nayeli laughed briefly. By the way, I hate Red Lobster, by the way. Nayeli laughed briefly, but then her expression became serious again. Well, you going to give me my money? Sure. Chelsea tossed her wallet in the air with a soft lob in Nayeli's direction. Nayeli reached out her hands to catch it and was blinded by a pair of fingers in the eyes as Chelsea said, Hey, Mo! In a high-pitched sing-song voice, yes, Three Stooges style. Her 2 fingers striking Nayeli's eyes with enough force to break a ceramic plate. Nayeli staggered back, one hand over her eyes, the other raised defensively, hoping to deflect Chelsea's anticipated follow-up strike. Chelsea quickly darted behind the blinded assassin and stunned Nayeli with a vicious clap to Nayeli's temples. You know, this game. Just showing. It's artistic, right? Let's see. And then a roundhouse kidney punch. Right there. Nice. Nayeli groaned as she collapsed into a heap on the floor. She gasped momentarily as she tried to catch her breath, but then vomited. Chelsea remained in a defensive posture, determined not to be sucker punched again. Or even now, Nayeli. Nayeli tried to stand, which Chelsea had not thought of possible. She felt a glimmer of regard for this woman, though having twice hurt her, had kept her alive, perhaps out of some sense of code of decorum. Still, this would not stop Chelsea from killing her and putting another notch on her gun, belt, or whatever. Instead, Nayeli raised a hand to forestall an attack and slowly reached into her pocket. Here, consider this making a square for keying your car. That was a bitch move on my part, and I don't need it now that I have Milo's Maserati. A pair of car keys with a Porsche logo suddenly dangled in front of her. Chelsea consciously accepted them and immediately pressed on the key fob. The result was not a car exploding as Chelsea had expected, but merely the traditional double beat, beep, beep, of a car alarm. Yeah, I did that pretty good, didn't I? Of a car alarm in harmony with its headlights. Thanks to the car, Nayeli. So we're cool now. I promise I'm done with this business. Nayeli managed a wry smile as Chelsea stood there, admiring the keys to her new sports car. Good. It's not a job for a mom or a woman dating a cop. Good luck. Chelsea took the heavy hand and drove off. Nayeli watched her for a moment, then she turned toward Milo's Maserati, smiling at Chelsea and her recently acquired Porsche. 2-to-1 odds. You'll be back in the life within a year. Only this time, you'll be working for me. Okay, and that was chapter 32, near the end of the book, actually. Hope you guys liked it. Again, I'm going to show you the cover because I always do that. Here you go. And I will try to share the link for it as soon as I can near the end. And authors, as I'm reading your work, or if you're an author and are not one of the ones I'm reading but want to share your links to your books, feel free to do so, okay? So, by the way, I got my baby Yoda here in case you guys want to check this out when you let my voice recover for a moment. Let's see. He's cool, ain't he? Okay, here it is. This is Maggie's cover. One moment. Okay, here we go. Oh, that's not it. I'm sorry about that.
I'm gonna guess that if you've been on the internet within the past...
For those you know me know that I do that a lot. Gotta do a Rickroll once in a while. Anyways, let me go ahead and find the book cover here. I had it here just a second ago. Library and Maggie. Let's see, Maggie. There we go. And this is called War Machine. Let me pull this up here. I'll get a picture of the cover. Hey, Brittany, how you doing? Brittany's one of my proofreaders for my books, too. She's awesome. Okay, here's the cover, the real cover this time. Sorry, I didn't get a good picture of it, but there it is. I'm just trying to get it to load. And this is the last book for the evening because my voice is starting to get shot. Chapter 1. I'm doing good, Brittany. Hope you're doing good too. Oh, you said you're good. Okay, perfect. I abhor parties of any kind. The sea of people was usually a turnoff for me to begin with. But when there's a load of political vampires coming out of their respective coffins to scavenge for fresh meat, I'm doubly disgusted, and I don't blame her. And even worse, since I was of the female gender, I was considered the meat. Wow. But I absolutely refuse to wind up as somebody's meal. There's so many entendres on that way, I can't touch them, but she's such a great writer. Then again, I knew every inch of myself well enough to know my body served as an excellent lure. I had dressed for the occasion with that purpose in mind, to make sure no one forgot the Middle Eastern woman in the sweeping full-length dress, make enough of an impression that no one would question my lack of an invitation, and in turn, my purpose for being there. The party had been easy enough to get into. This lavish apartment complex was an old, repurposed industrial building turned into lofts. Security was surprisingly lax for such a prestigious black tie event. Sorry, it wasn't scrolling. All of the elites were here tonight to celebrate the senator's birthday. Enough men had spoken to me this evening. Most of them were salt and pepper or white-haired bastards and knew of me from other events. I hadn't had an invitation for those either. My still gray designer dress, clinging to every curve, was enough to tell most that I belonged here. And if that hadn't been sufficient, the idea they might be able to bed me was enough to keep them from throwing me out. Wow. Years into doing these kind of gigs, and I hadn't been tossed out. Right now, I was pretending to sip from my champagne glass. I never took any. I hate alcohol. You see, what you do is you get like apple juice or apple cider, and it looks like champagne, so you can drink that and not get plastered while everyone else around you does. Old trick from books. I hate alcohol. It turns any decent being into a piggish creature with bad intentions. Besides, any drinks that were offered by a given hand were often spiked. Cool. The one I had just been offered by a passing gentleman was cloudy. I take that back. He was no gentleman. Ecstasy flowed as freely around here as wine, and it seemed he had decided I should partake. When no one was looking, I dumped the bubbly into a houseplant as I was passing it. So I guess the houseplant's going to get horny is what I'm guessing. Nice. Lovely evening. I'm sorry. Lovely evening, a alluring male voice said from behind me. Judging by the whispery quality it possessed, I was going to be dealing with an old one. And indeed it was. My exact target, in fact. I batted my eyelashes and pursed my lips into an alluring smile of my own. Indeed. Have we met before? I think I remember a lady such as yourself. And in the same spirit, I'd like to remember your name if we should meet again. Shiraz, I said. The lie was so practiced it was second nature to me. It sounded indisputably true. Shiraz, he repeated, brown eyes gleaming with a predatory streak. He thought he was the hunter. Too bad he was the prey. And what does Miss Shiraz do here in the city? Doesn't matter. I knew the answer before it flashed in his eyes. Only if it means you're an assassin here to kill me. I laughed lightly. Oh, the irony. Sorry, can't help you there, but I do think I see your wife poking around looking for you. You might want to go to her. If she's poking around, it isn't for me, he said, eyes flashing. No jealousy there. Wife number 4 mustn't mean too much. Now, would you care for another refreshment? I do believe I saw you dump your last one into my prized Amaryllis. Don't worry, I'm not mad. The drink came from one of my aides, and I know what he likes to put in attractive women's drinks. I'm sure the flowers could do with some ecstasy. They do reproduce asexually after all. That's a good one. He threw his head back and laughed heartily. I smiled. The joke wasn't that funny, nor had I to look far for an innuendo-charged quip. You are a gem, he said, chortling. Now I must really know you. Wit and beauty and a woman are a lethal combination. You have no idea. I peeked around his shoulder, enjoying the morbid humor. I think they're ready for your speech now. And might I add my own birthday wishes, Representative Gaynor? Only if they come true, he said with a wink. I'll catch up with you later. I regarded that as a threat and not a promise. I'm sure. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Again, let me show you the cover of this book. I keep forgetting to do that sometimes. Here you go. And let me also show the covers of some of the other books. Council Myths by Samantha Renee. Those are the only two I have on my phone. My wife's giving out. But just a reminder, I'm going to do this once a week, maybe twice a week if time allows. If you are an author and want me to read from your book, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to do some random picks out of the long list of people I've read from before or I've promised to read from in the past. Anyways, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye-bye.